HIPcast is brought to you by Enterprise Social Record.
Seth, can you believe that it has been 2 full years of podcasting for just the expansion of our profession and what we do?
Feels like 10 years underwater.
No, it doesn't. This is the most fun you've ever had, and you know it.
It has been a lot of fun. I will admit, this has been a lot of fun, which we kind of thought that it would be fun, but I didn't realize how much I would enjoy getting to hear the stories from HI professionals all around the country. And, you know, it's the most fascinating thing that people don't go into this profession from a desire from childhood or middle school or whatever, right? There's ways that they find this profession. And I think that's been a very fascinating thing for me to see, is how people have found their way into it and then flourished.
You know, I agree. I love that we've met so many people, and it has expanded our network of experts, right? Like, because you and I aren't experts on nearly as many things as domains that are in our profession.
Chinese buffet is about the only thing I'm an expert in.
Yeah, travel for me, okay. But it's interesting how, like, because we both love networking, it is interesting though how we have been able to identify, oh gosh, if I need this answered, I can ask this person. Or, hey, I remember we interviewed somebody one time about this, let me go find that, and I can pull that person back in and try to make connections. And so it's allowing us to make some connections even among our peers and colleagues, which is pretty cool. Just a fun little thing. But I can't believe it's been 2 years. It doesn't seem, I mean, we do this, and yes, sometimes it's hard, you know, schedules and calendars, especially with your global travel, for work and for fun. But it's been awesome, and I love doing it. I love having people on. We're going to recap. So today, this is going to be we're going to just reflect on 2025. And that's what we've kind of started that already with the, you know, talking about the guests that we've had and just that impact on us. Seth, you do such a good job. I want to give you some props. You do such a good job at always making sure to ask questions that are important to students, because we know that some of the professors and program directors out there require their students to listen to the show, or give them extra credit if they listen and answer some questions about shows and things like that. And you always do such a good job at asking our guests, hey, tell us, this is really important. I want the students to take note that you didn't start here, you started here, and then now, you know, 10 years later or whatever it is, you're up here. So I just want to commend you for that. You do such a good job at staying focused on students.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, it's just one of those things that I was one time and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was sitting there going, you know, I was about to get married, and I'm like, I've got to provide for my family. You know, we want to have kids, and I had no clue what I was doing. And, you know, I wish that we had the podcasting medium back when I was a student, because it's an interesting thing to think about, that you don't really have a ton of resources outside of your just school and potentially your, you know, maybe your local association or your CA if your students are a part of that. But to have something like a podcast that the student can listen to as they're traveling or whatever, back and forth to class, and start to understand perspectives of what this profession truly means, how you can thrive in this profession, how you can grow, and the fact that you got to start where you can get your foot in the door. And that's the reality for every profession, I'm sure. But it is for this one as well. But the big thing is, you, as a student, you get to experience more things if you just go say yes to that project. So I always have the student and the young professional in mind, not only because we know that there's a lot of folks that listen, but it seems like, I guess I'm getting old. And I'm like, you know, becoming that old man one. I can look out my window here and realize when somebody pulls in my driveway, and I'm like, who is that? You know, immediately. It's not the old days when it's like, oh, look, somebody's here. No, it's like, what are you doing in my driveway? But anyway, I mean, I'm getting old, and it's like, I want to impart the knowledge that this profession has given me over my career into the next generation, because as I've told you, my retirement goals are to drive a forklift at Lowe's, and I want to do that sooner than later. So we're going to have to pass this thing off to the younger generation in the coming years.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because you're so right. There are so many health information professionals. Every single one that we asked the question to, there's been one person that said that their grandmother did this role. This year, we interviewed someone that and their grandmother had been in health information, medical records actually at the time. And she was like, oh, this makes sense. It wasn't her choice, though. She was doing something. And somebody said, you should do that. That's what your grandmother did. And she's like, oh, well, okay. But to your point, once you discover, if you're a person aspiring to find a career and you're not exactly sure, once you get exposed to what is over in, what all domains and what kind of curriculum is in the health information profession in those programs, that's when you say, oh my goodness, you mean I could do that? That sounds very cool. That's kind of a note to AHIMA here. If you're listening, leadership, that's kind of where to make that connection. Like what makes it attractive to us when we finally discover it? Why do we need to continue to be a secret? And I know we had, Dave Chella on, the new CEO of AHIMA, and he mentioned something similar to that. So I just want to make sure that we're trying to share the message in that way. But I want to get going, Seth, with some more, some deeper dive on this recap. I have started. I want anybody listening, please send Seth and I a group message on LinkedIn if you are lyrical. And if you want to write some lyrics, I have I kind of broken down my recap in sections. I've got the crazy, I've got the real work at AHIMA. I've got that broken down, and then I've got recap of our guest and then the future. But in the crazy, I have something started called the AHIMA Shuffle.
The AHIMA Shuffle. All right.
The AHIMA Shuffle. We had an interim CEO appointed. That interim CEO vanished before our eyes, right before the annual meeting. And
So
then
sad about that.
verse 3 of this song is the new CEO. So verse 1, we had an interim CEO appointed. Verse 2, the interim CEO vanished right before. And then verse 3 is now, as of just a couple of weeks ago, we have a new CEO appointed. The chorus, though, if you're going to write lyrics to go with each of these, verse 1, the interim CEO appointed. Verse 2, interim CEO vanished. Verse 3, new CEO appointed. The chorus has to be CEO still not credentialed. Okay. So if you're lyrical, I don't care if you use an AI agent or if you're just lyrical all by yourself. Go ahead and put three verses together in a chorus there and send it to Seth and I. If you can put music to it in your little AI generator, go ahead and do that too. We'd love to hear it. So
definitely describes the journey, right? I mean, that's what we're on. It's a journey. The profession is a journey. The association is a journey. And I'm very happy with that. Dave, the new CEO, came on and shared his story. It's a fascinating story. I mean, we want him to be successful, right?
Absolutely.
We shared that with him. And
publicly, we will say whatever he needs. If we can do it, we are here to help him do it. We are in full support of him.
And he mentioned that there's credentialed professionals at AHIMA now. I think 10 to 11 or so that are at AHIMA, and even some in HC Pro. So that's it's steps in the right direction. And I think from a CA perspective, AHIMA is making steps in the right direction to fix some of the issues that were caused prior to a lot of the people that are there now they're stuck with, and they're trying to figure out how to fix it. So it's a funny concept to think about the song of this journey that we've been on. At the same time, I look at it and I'm like, I want to be positive, even though I tend to lean to the pessimism. I do enjoy a pessimistic view, but I do want to be positive and think, all right, things are turning around. This thing hopefully is heading in the right direction. Maybe year 3 of the podcast, we won't be interviewing another CEO.
I know. Hey, Chella, if you're listening, please still be here at the end of this coming year, 2026, and come back on and give us a recap of your 2026.
Exactly. That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of
Would
fun.
be awesome. You're right, Seth. He did mention in that show where um, I do think he said there were 11 of those the health information credentialed professionals. A lot of those I think are on Jennifer Miller's team. And then in HC Pro, I can't remember if he said how many are on there, but I mean, there could possibly be more in HC Pro than there are at HEMA. I'm not sure. If you looked at that last year, that probably would have been true. HC Pro probably had more credentialed professionals than AHEMA did, but that is being corrected, as you said. And that's exciting. That's very exciting. So that kind of brings me to the real work portion of my recap. Thinking about AHEMA and our profession, Jennifer's team has done amazing. They've put content out in the store for members for those free CEUs that are out there. That's updated content because that was very old, and Jennifer's team has executed on that. They have done an AI summit. They have created an AI toolkit, which, by the way, if you're a member and you haven't looked at that AI toolkit, it's not going to like show you how to do all your work, but it's going to give you a lot of great information. And that was a collaborative. That was not just Jennifer's team. Jennifer might have been on that group, I think, but Sharon Easterling was on it. There were several professionals that were on that work group that put that toolkit together, and it has some definitions and different explanations for things. And so that's really good. And Jennifer's got a lot of things coming out for, in fact, I think she's having some kind of a webinar introducing or unveiling some stuff coming up in either February or March of 2026. And I don't know the details of it, but she says it's going to be great and that everybody should watch. But Jennifer's team has done a lot. Lauren Ripplinger's team, my goodness, think about January, whatever the date was when this current administration was inaugurated in 2025, January 2025. And then think about the speed at which health policy has evolved in that time. I'm telling you that Lauren and Andrew and Kate, those three, they have probably had a very exciting and exhausting year.
Yeah.
But I mean, my goodness gracious, everything, interoperability, value-based care changes, significant value-based care changes, significant burden reduction is least discussion. I don't know if it's really going to happen. We'll see. But Lauren's team has had to cover a ton.
You throw
right?
in the federal AI czar, David Sachs, and the fact
My
that they're
brain
trying
crush.
to. Yeah. So do you want to talk about that of the request that you made? We
not yet. I'll get there.
Come on now. We're bigger than sometimes I think we think we're bigger than our britches. If anybody wants to know Tennesseeism there, that we for those that don't know, in the current administration, there is a gentleman named David Sachs, and he is the AI czar. Fascinating fella. Like
AI and crypto.
And crypto, yeah. So I listen to the All In podcast a lot, and he's one of the besties on there. Maybe they'll invite us to the All In Summit, but
that'd be hilarious.
We'll do the healthcare side. But I think we're a little bigger than our britches in our mind, is the saying in Tennessee, because somebody invited David Sachs to the podcast. Did you get a response?
No response, right. Except for I did get the auto response, like, hey, the White House staff has gotten your message, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But yes, that is my biggest disappointment.
We got to talk
about biggest HIPcast disappointment of the year is absolutely that David Sachs did not respond, because let me just tell you that my brain crush on this guy has been way before he became the crypto and AI czar. But because I've been listening to All In podcast for quite a long time now, and I love that show. I mean, I don't always agree with one or two or three or all of them, right? But it's so fascinating in their tech and their business and policy and world economics and just so much fun stuff. But David Sachs, yes, that is definitely my brain crush, and he has not responded, and I'm really sad about that. So I was trying to save my disappointment till the end.
No, we got to end on a high note. I had to bring it out of you now. That way we can get onto the high notes and go from there, because it's a positive. We got to end on a positive. But
we have big news.
We do have big news. We will. That's a good teaser to be about halfway through the recording and throw a teaser out there.
Stick around. There's something really cool at the end. But even along those health policy lines with Lauren's team and the real work at AHIMA, the Health IT End User Alliance, AHIMA is one of the partners in that. And there's a lot of, it's a think tank that puts out some responses maybe to some of the just being thought leadership. And for our organization, for the AHIMA organization to be represented on that is so important. And I think that work is helping set the stage to help really the industry understand who we are as a profession. So super, super good work on their part.
I do want to note something here.
Yeah.
If you look at what we were talking about a year ago on this podcast, compared to what we're talking about now, it's wildly different. I think last year at about this time, we had an episode called What the Heck? And I was writing articles. I was writing articles about King of the Day, and like we were in meltdown mode.
We were
against AHIMA. We were very frustrated with AHIMA a year ago, and here we are singing the praises, and we're not sponsored by AHIMA yet.
Yeah.
But it is something that I think it definitely says a lot to the changes that have been made over the last year and the work that folks like Jennifer and Lauren and all the Dana has put into it. And
Dana's amazing.
So, we're happy with things the way they're turning. Don't take this as we're carrying the flag now. We're still going to be having what the heck episodes if something goes off the rails.
Well, I'll say it a little differently. I would not say I'm happy about the way things are right now. I do regret very much that there was not one single person, health information credentialed person that is a leader that I know of. This could have happened and I don't know because I don't have any purview into, what happened in the search committee. But as far as I know, there was no health information credentialed professional that made it past Korn Ferry, past the external resources. And so, yes, I am actually disappointed, very disappointed.
I guess a better way to word that is of many credentialed or several credentialed members that did not make it past Korn Ferry. Because you're right, we don't know who made it into the actual realm in front of the search committee.
Yeah.
But you do know several credentialed folks that did not make it past the recruiting firm, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And that's something that, again, we want David to be successful. We're gonna put our support behind him in the future. I think for search committees, we need to fix that problem.
Yeah, and I will say I like Dave. We interviewed him. We put out a bonus episode yesterday where he was gracious enough to come on and share some time with us. I think he's very capable as a business leader, 100%. I don't doubt that at all. I don't know that we'll see what happens about membership value. Okay. He's great at product. Has a long-standing history of success with product. He has a long-standing history with leadership. He is not afraid to learn new things, that as evidenced by his history. And as he said, yes, in that, and if you look at his LinkedIn profile, he boomerangs. So he leaves a job and then gets invited back. He doesn't burn bridges, which is awesome. And I appreciate that. That's hard to do sometimes at that level that he's at. And so it's wonderful that he does that. But Dave, if you're watching, I am for you. I do want you to succeed and I want to help you do that. Let me know if there's something I can do within reason. I'll be happy to try to do it. But at the same time, membership value has eroded significantly as we've not had credentialed leaders. And so you have a pretty big task.
It's an uphill climb.
Yeah, it's an uphill climb. So we'll try to push you up. But
right. Seinfeld has the Festivus, right? And bring out the aluminum pole of grievances. We've got one grievance off the table for 25. Any other grievances you want to throw out there before we flip to the positive?
Oh, are you kidding? You're going to make me bring up my other grievance right now? I mean, I wouldn't really say Dave is a huge grievance.
Well, no. I mean,
you know what I mean?
No, that's not what I meant either. But
try to flip this script. No, I'm not doing it.
All right, fine then.
I'm saving that one to the last. So now you have two things to stick around for. Okay. So what do you think about health policy? Anything you want to add to just health policy in general or about our profession?
I mean, it's going to be ever changing. It's going to continue to change, and it's going to rapidly evolve. I think I saw in Becker's this week that 47 states are currently pushing AI bills that will affect healthcare. That's a monumental effort to try to figure out and maintain. And even though the federal level is trying to say, "Hey, don't do anything at the state level because we want to keep this race going between us and others in the world that are trying to win the AI race," the states in our government model still have
Yep.
autonomy in many ways. So
Yep.
it's going to be to me, I think it's going to cause a lot of challenges for HI professionals as different states change things and what that looks like, from how AI is used to privacy to what information can be trained in there, what information must be trained into the model. So to me, that's going to be one of the biggest challenges over the next year, is how that evolves, and it's evolving much faster than we typically can respond.
Yeah, and that will only get faster and faster. I also worry not only about trying to keep up with the states. I think about the multi-state health systems that are out there, who are going to have to accommodate, and they're trying to have like this group purchasing power, because I've got 100 hospitals across 23 states, and I want to buy one instance of I want to pay one for all of my states, but it's going to have to potentially have different, code in it.
Yeah, it could be completely eroded.
It will be, so it's going to be really challenging to manage that, I think. But speaking of Becker's, we had a couple of guests on that have presented at Becker's. Dawson Ballard from Kansas, and then Miss Melissa Kohler from our state, from Tennessee. We had Janice Bowles on from that, speaking about fire and interoperability. Brendan Keeler was superb, talking about the in-person event with CMS, and just that it almost felt impromptu, like a face-to-face RFI. So that was pretty cool. We highlighted our president-elect folks again. You want to say something about Brendan or that opportunity?
No, the campaign thing was really cool. The candidates, I think that's been a fun thing that we just randomly added. But I don't know, you sparked my mind to think about Dorothy Payne and getting to hear her story of
awesome.
of how she came out of Mississippi and in the '60s, and then worked her way through and had Bonita counting lines. Like I think about that story a lot, of how cool, how she elevated her entire family and her children's lives and everything. It's just, I don't know, I found that very inspiring.
Yeah, and she's a living, breathing example of the technology advancements through the course of healthcare and the technology that drives us. Like, she is a living, breathing iteration herself, know, and way before her time. As you said, she was lifting her family up way before, it was cool for women to do that, Gosh, she was amazing.
Yeah. The other things that really stood out to me for the year was how we fell into this patient education series, which we want to expand on again. But, Mississippi is the one that started that with us, because she was doing presentations at churches about the differences between traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage plans. And then we had Liz McElhaney on talk privacy, which she was a great, which she's spoken at THIMA's annual meeting as well. She's fantastic. We had Eileen Karina talking about patient education. So I enjoyed that series. That was something like the Medicare piece, and the patient information are things that I sent to my mom, and I'm like, hey, listen to this, because this will help you sort of understand as a patient what you can do. That was pretty fun for the year. Hopefully we can continue that next year.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And let's not forget, we had Ann Nolan on talking about component association leadership, and just the realization that there are so many current executive central office coordinators or executive directors that are retiring. They've been doing those jobs for a long time, and who's going to carry that torch? What does the component association leadership look like if those folks are gone? Kind of even stacked up against what's changing from AHIMA in the component association agreement, and what's that going to look like? There's a lot of changes coming. some of them are going to be great, but some of them also are just unknown still. So a lot
It's
of
going to look
changes.
different. It's going to have
It's
to
going
look
to look
different.
different. But also just a nod to all of those component association leaders for all this time in the last 20 years that I've been there. You guys are amazing. Like, and Seth, that's you now, but I'm not talking about you.
I'm still struggling
I am
through how to do
talking
it.
about you. You really took on a big task, and I appreciate it. But I'm just thinking of the leadership in Eugenia, and and Anne and her sister, and so many across the country that have just been phenomenal leaders for their states, and like herding us cats that are the HI professionals.
Yeah, we have a call every month with a few of the central office EDs. That those folks have been incredible help to me and Laretha as we've tried to figure out how to take on THIMA and to keep it on the track. So very very amazed with those folks, but also, as you say, several of them are heading towards retirement. So the question becomes, how do we continue this thing on, or how do we evolve, knowing that the model is going to have to change just from a
Yeah,
sustainability perspective. And these people have poured their lives into keeping the state associations going. And I tell them, or at least I tell AHIMA all the time, I love you. You're doing what you can right now, but my family's the THIMA family.
right,
Like, those are the people that know my kids and know what we deal with, and
right.
so that's the state associations are incredibly important. The model has to shift in some way. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the right answer is, but it's got to evolve to be sustainable. But we still have to keep our family feel within the states, in my opinion.
We do. We also had Rebecca Reynolds on talking about health information and informatics is a data science, and it shouldn't be separate from that, and it should get that kind of a nod. And in fact, that could be a way for us to bring people into the field, to recruit new students into it because of that. And wasn't it super fun to have KHIM on?
It was, yeah, yeah. And early in the year we had. Let's see, I was looking at the HIP Week and the HEMA Awards. That was something that was pretty fun for me to get to hear about the awards and to promote the awards, because we need to call out these professionals and the groups that are doing good in the organization. That's something that in the state right now for Tennessee, we've put out the call for our awards coming up at our annual meeting in the spring, right? So it's very important for each of us to think about who around us is um, deserves recognition, because I think it could be a very special moment for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too. We had a lot of thought leaders on this past year, and most of them were health information professionals. There were a few that weren't, but it was a fun year, and we have some fun things coming for next year. Some ideas on the guests that we're going to have, which I'm looking forward to. We've got um, I'm already recruiting for that, Seth.
Well, good. I
Even
appreciate
in
that.
that short amount of time.
And
But
that's an invite. Like, for listeners, that if you're interested in joining us for a
yeah,
30 to 40 minute
please.
conversation, we are not scary people. We're just a couple of East Tennessee hillbillies that
Yep,
like to talk.
yep.
And come join us. Tell us your story. Tell us how you got into this crazy thing. So shoot me an email, Seth@thima.org, or hit us up on LinkedIn, and we'll start the process. It's so easy.
Yeah,
30 to 40 minute conversation.
yeah. Okay. What else you got before I move on to like my grievances and excitement
I want the
and the announcement?
grievances. I want the grievances, and then move into the
Well,
excitement.
the grievances out of the way. Well, my biggest HIPcast grievance really is that David Sachs did not answer my invitation to come and talk to us for a few minutes. It's not like he's trying to build a framework around AI for a national footprint or anything. I don't know why he can't spend 30 minutes with us. I was pretty sad about that, but really there was nothing else disappointing about HIPcast. We've had phenomenal guests. My biggest excitement for HIPcast, I'll save till later because we have a big announcement. And then for AHIMA, my biggest excitement, and I'm like, some people are going to think I'm just cruel for saying this out loud, but y'all are thinking it, or some of you are. I am so happy, so pleased for our organization and for our profession that particular interim CEO is not leading us anymore. I did not trust that leadership. I don't think that leader understood who we are or how to bring value to the members or how to progress our organization into the right place. And so it's not a personal thing. It is, as a member and as a business leader, having someone that you trust at that level is so necessary. And I definitely trust Dave Cella to do that much more so. But that's an excitement for me. And it's not personal. Like, there is nothing personal about that statement, but it is absolutely true.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Seth? You think I'm a jerk?
No, I'm 100% with you. You know, sometimes people just get put in the wrong spot. That's just not
Yeah.
the right spot for them, and that person was put in the wrong spot. And like you say, just didn't know us, didn't understand who we are, didn't understand what the background was from why there were so many people that were upset and still upset, and just never saw the forest for the trees. So it's one of those things that I was very happy when that marriage ended, because it was just time. It was just the wrong spot for that person, and I'm glad where we're at. Is the perfect marriage that we have now? I don't know. Remains to be seen, right? So we're going to make it work is the goal, and
That's right.
And go from there. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. That was the biggest disappointment for the year, was the fear of that becoming permanent.
Yeah. But now that's not disappointing at all, right?
See, I can lean out of the pessimism and right back to the optimism.
Look, that's so funny. That's the opposite of who you actually are. Oh, I love you, buddy. I love you. Okay, biggest letdown for me for AHIMA. This is personal. I did submit my application and got all the things, to try to be on the ballot for the board, to be elected as a candidate for the board position to be a director. And I was not selected by the nominating committee. And that's disappointing in itself. Absolutely. Because I want to serve. I love this profession. I am involved. I'm engaged. Like, I would, I believe that I would do a good job because I ask hard questions, and I know that's not popular, but they have to be answered, for the good of our profession. They have to be answered for the good of our organization. They have to be answered. So I know me asking the hard questions isn't really popular. So that was disappointing within itself. But maybe the most disappointed that I was is that when I asked for feedback, I was instructed that the only feedback they could give me was that they were not allowed to give me feedback. And that wasn't, I don't fault the folks on the nominating committee that called me to tell me that. That wasn't a decision they made. Those two professionals are they're very encouraging. They are lifting other health information professionals up. So I do not fault them for that. But did that directive come from AHIMA? I don't know. They didn't say that, but I know it didn't come from those two professionals. And I also knew the chair of the committee, which was also another health information professional that is about our advancement. That directive would not have come from that person either, unless they were instructed by, someone else. So I was disappointed, certainly, that I didn't get on the ballot to let the members decide if I should be elected. That's what I was expecting. If the members didn't vote for me, I would be definitely disappointed. But the members would have had a voice, right? And in this way, I felt like the members got blocked from having a voice, and they might have not voted for me at all. I may have been the last person with the lowest number of votes, but that would have been at least okay, me understanding. But being instructed to tell you that we can tell you weren't selected and that's all we can tell you, that is not professional. And I don't fault those. So that was pretty disappointing for me, Seth.
Yeah, I would say that kind of deflates the air in the balloon, and that's a place for those that are in AHIMA leadership that are listening. It's a place for improvement, right? This is a membership organization. When you have a member that has served for many, many years in many forms and fashions, that puts their name in there to serve and continue to volunteer. Keep in mind, these are all volunteer roles. This is a volunteer role that we're doing to support our state association through this podcast. And then to not be able to get feedback on that is pretty disappointing. I hope that was an unfortunate byproduct of the leader that we had at that time. and that we can move forward, and you just happen to be the one that takes the brunt of it. I was one of those credentialed people that applied for the CEO position, and had my little 30-minute screening interview with the Corn Ferry lady, and knew very quickly that she had no desire to put me forward. Which was fun, because I'm like, really? I don't even get a chance to go in front of the search committee that are a group of my peers. But it is what it is. Honestly, I think a lot of that, I hope a lot of that was a byproduct of the leadership that we had at that time, and will improve going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still love this profession. I still value and respect the folks that were on the nominating committee where I was ultimately not added to the ballot. I 100% do. So this really, initially, I will tell you, like, I wanted to just fire up social media, and I just wanted to, but instead I just called Seth.
Yeah, I had to talk you off the ledge a couple times
to cry or whine about it, but as I've been further removed, because that was back in May. So we're 6 months later, I'm down at the end of the year. It is still disappointing, but it isn't devastating. It isn't devastating that those folks had to contend with whatever they had to contend with to close out that process. I served on the nominating committee for the 3 years prior, and it's hard. It is so hard. And so adding that extra thing, I did have a couple of conversations or emails where I had some requests, but nothing ever really got resolved or even answered appropriately there. But then I just kind of let it go. I still love this profession. I'll still volunteer. I don't know what I'm going to do next year if I'm applying for something else or whatever, but I will still serve, and I'll still serve our state on this podcast, because again, this is in support of the THIMA Foundation. I'm here. I love it. I'm here until they close the doors and take away our credentials.
Yep, I like it. Well, let's finish on a high note. We've finished 2025. Pop the champagne bottles. We're going to have a celebration. Lieutenant Dan's sitting over there sad and whatever. We're singing Old Lang Syne. And what does 2026 look like?
2026 is amazing. It's going to be fantastic. HIPcast is growing. I'm so excited. So Seth and I are still going to do what we do. We are still going to interview folks and go on our cadence of every couple of weeks. We'll have some bonus episodes thrown in when we have the opportunity to do so. David Sachs, you come on anytime you want to. You don't have to be invited or scheduled. We will make it work. But we're gonna work towards some new types of guests to bring on in addition to our health information professionals. But those guests will be important to our discussions around health information and our profession. But we do have a big announcement. So Seth, you wanna drop the ball there? You want to drop the ball? You want to drop the bomb? Don't drop the ball. No ball dropping.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that it's exciting to bring new voices into the HIPcast family. So there are details that will be coming soon, but we will be adding a second show into the HIPcast family that will most likely alternate weeks with the traditional HIPcast. So it will be more topic focused on like hot topic type things that are going on sort of in some of the key domains of the HIM profession. I still say HIM, sorry, I'm old. To where we tend to do more interview styles and highlight HI professionals. So we think it's going to be an incredibly good ad for folks to have more content, to get to experience more, to learn more. We're going to most likely have our intro to those folks that will be coming in our first episode in January. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe and do all the things that all the podcast people tell you to do. But that's exciting. We're going to have a lot more voices, different voices on the channel, and expanding the content to just truly engage the HIM profession in a broader method, in a broader manner.
I'm so excited. Woo! That is 2026 is going to be different, and it's going to be awesome, and I'm very excited.
Yep, it's going to be a great year.
Great to do another year with you. I can't believe it's been 2 years. As we said at the beginning, it's been 2 years. You said 10. No, sir. No, sir. It's been like 6 months, hasn't it?
Yeah, underwater.
Underwater.
No, it's been a lot of fun. This has been great. Thank you all for listening, for watching on YouTube. This podcast, all proceeds and benefits from any sponsorships go to the THIMA Foundation, which promotes scholarships to HI students. So Shannan and I just volunteer our time for this. So what you're doing just by listening and subscribing and commenting makes a difference, because it's furthering the education of students in the HI profession. So thank you for listening. Thank you for another year, Shannan. It's been a blast.
Been awesome.
Let's have a great 2026 as we expand the channel. And until next time, my friend.
I'll see you next year, buddy.